Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of the Storytime Society. I'm your host Jamie and I'm so happy you're here. I'm so glad you're alive. Thank you for tuning in. The theme of this episode is husband horrors. There's no lack of husband horror stories on Reddit, for real. But I have my coffee, okay? I have my little cup with my little sipper. It's so cute. This is my coffee from this morning. It's currently 6 p.m. I shouldn't be drinking this. No, I shouldn't, but I am, because I took a nap today for 2 hours and now I need coffee so that I can finish filming, okay? This is my Dunkin' Donuts from this morning, but what are you going to do about it? Arrest me? Yeah, my therapist would have said not to drink this. She used to tell me I need to stop my caffeine intake after 1 p.m. I never really listened to her though. I'd be like, oh, why am I staying up so late? Why can't I sleep? I can never fall asleep. And then she'd be like, well, are you drinking caffeine throughout the day? Yes, all day till like 7 p.m. Okay, well, probably stop. Me. Yep, you're right. Never did though. Okay, so the title of the first story is My 33 female husband, 36 male, planned an affair on the trip I planned and paid for. Hi everyone, I've been reading these stories for years. I never thought I'd be one to post. I'm sorry for the too long message. It's harder than I thought to edit and I don't want to sanitize my words with ChatGPT. I'm 32 female and my husband is 36 male. We've been married 2 years and together 9. Up until yesterday, I thought we were genuinely happy together. A bit of context, we have this thing where I change my name to random things on his phone every few months. They're always funny and well over the top. The last one was something like perfect human form. It's just a joke that's gone on for a few years. So yesterday he was in the shower and his work phone was out. So I changed my name in his contacts. As I did so, notification for Snapchat came through with an image and the name of a woman he knew back home. He's from another country and moved here to the UK around 10 years ago. As this was his work phone, it was really weird, so I clicked on it. It opened into a 5-day streak chat with this woman with seriously crude texts. Photos of both of them, not the face, and them planning to meet up when he goes back. Dates, times, locations, and everything. She was even planning on taking a sick day from work. One of his D pics was in our bed, with me in the house. He is booked to go back for a few weeks, end of November, to see a very sick relative. I paid for his flight so that he could see them before they passed. I had a panic attack, and he walked out of the shower to see me hyperventilating. I asked him why, and how could he? He said it was only talking, that he'd been feeling neglected recently. I asked how. He said work was stressful and that he just wanted someone who wanted him for him, and that he doesn't feel like he's ever enough for me. I had no idea. He hasn't mentioned anything, and nothing has changed. A few years ago, I think 3 to 4, when we first moved into our house, he shared that he sometimes didn't feel enough for me. We went to counseling and worked through it. A major effort was made on both of our sides to get through it, and I thought that we had. The thing is, I know I can be hard work. I'm closer to a type A than type B. I'm pretty successful career-wise and not massively touchy-feely. But I'm not closed off, and I've never given a shit about his job or anything like that. I even supported him for 2 years when he took a career break to try and become an actor. For F's sake, he hasn't even paid towards the mortgage in 4 years, as I didn't want him to feel dependent on me / stretch his pay too thin. I don't know why I'm posting this or what I expect from this. I just don't know what to do. I've kicked him out for now, but there are major logistics to deal with as I work away and we have 2 dogs. How do I navigate this? I absolutely consider this cheating. How can I make sure I don't let myself forgive him? He's been in my life for almost 10 years. I've supported him in every way. Can I end it for a week of messages? How could I not end it after that? Sorry for all the questions, and I know this post will sit in the millions of other I'm so surprised he cheated stories, but within 24 hours, my happy, hard-earned life is in flames, and I'm staring at the wreckage. No, 1,000% that's cheating. 1,000%. I heard someone say the other day, which this is like such common sense, but I don't know. A guy on TikTok was like, any messages that you're not wanting to show your partner is cheating. Like if you are texting someone and you wouldn't be comfortable sharing them with your partner, that's cheating. I mean, obviously not like if I'm texting my friend and like they're trying to tell me a secret or something, you know what I mean. But it's like, exactly. Especially if you're sending inappropriate pictures. Like, that's so messed up. And I hate the excuse of like, I felt neglected. That's not an excuse. You didn't even tell your wife that you felt neglected either. So I don't feel bad for you. Maybe if you had talked to her and you had been like being treated like shit and like you had been telling her for so long that you've been neglected and all of this stuff, and this was something that she was made aware of, you didn't even make her aware of it. Like, that is just such a sad excuse for cheating that is just such BS. And then you're doing everything for him. Like, oh, no. Find like a doggy daycare place, something for your dogs to stay at, or get like a dog sitter. It sounds like, from what I can tell from this story, it sounds like you can pay for one. Like, it sounds like you're not struggling with money. So it sounds like you could definitely, like, if you were out of town for a while, you could find someone that you trusted and get like a dog sitter or house sitter to stay at your house. Don't forgive him. He's a nasty bastard. Okay, some of the comments. I would cancel his flight for sure. He's feeling down but doing nothing about it. He's planning to F someone else because his ego was stroked. What about your love and devotion? Yeah, it's difficult, but you can do it. And even if you don't divorce him, think about the fact that he actually needs to prove that he is sorry about what he did and not because he was caught. If there is no explanation, the trust will not go back to what it was. It happened to me with my husband, and even now, after 7 years, I don't know why he cheated. I don't trust him, and we regularly argue about anything. I know, that's why I always feel like no matter what happens in a relationship, once one of the people in that relationship cheats, I think it's over. Even if you try so hard to fix it, I still think there's always going to be that inkling in the back of your head. Even if you went to therapy for so long and you feel like you forgive this person, like I truly feel like subconsciously there's no way to ever forget that, because that is just like the worst form of betrayal in a relationship. And yeah. Someone said, cheaper to pay a dog sitter than subsidize a worthless man. Exactly. Clocked it. Okay, update 1 month later. Hi everyone, almost 5 weeks later, and after how helpful so many of you have been, I wanted to give you an update. To start it off, many of you said that he'd been cheating for longer or had done so before, and you were right. I originally believed that he'd been cheating for a week, but due to a particularly noticeable carpet in the hotel room of one of the D pics that were taken in, I found out it had been going on for at least a month. He, of course, denied it and lied when confronted, but that month included our 9-year anniversary and countless other events, so it was really, really useful to stop me blaming myself. He's still adamant that it's never happened before, and I do believe him, but that didn't stop me from taking an STI test just in case. All clean, thank goodness. He also admitted to lying about them having a previous relationship, and I caught him in another lie about Snapchat messages. So he stayed true to form. Since I kicked him out, we've only spoken twice. He left the dogs, so I guess they're my dogs now, and wants a percentage of my house. I can't speak for other countries, but in the UK, marriage for enough years entitles you to half of everything, regardless of who contributed what. Under advice from a lawyer, we're staying amicable, so he only takes the agreed amount and leaves my pension, savings, etc. alone. On the dogs, I've got to load more dog sitters, and I've agreed to let them stay with him while I'm away with work as long as he covers most of their costs. Outside of this, I did the usual. Changed the locks, canceled his flights, threw out all of his stuff on bin day, and had a full-blown breakdown as a crying drunk for a solid 7 days. I have great friends who are supportive, but he's the only family I have had. So I've started seeing a therapist as well to help proceed and move forward. I'm taking this as an opportunity for a full reset and evaluation of what I want. So I'm trying to move jobs, sell my house to move closer to friends, and getting a load of dental work that I've been putting off. Throw in some injured dogs, and it's turned out to be a truly horrific month. Honestly, it's really sucked, but I'm rebuilding my life to be something I choose, and it's getting easier week by week. Thank you all so much for your comments when I first posted. Seeing the overwhelming support and brutal comments against both him and me put it into perspective and was enough to convince me that I wasn't crazy or overthinking this. I'm massively grateful for the dose of reality, and don't worry, to all of you who called me a doormat, thanks for that. I won't be taking him back or allowing anyone else to take advantage of me like that again. May the force be with you, random Reddit strangers, and thank you again. Someone commented, you're actively doing something many people are incapable of, throwing a big old middle finger to the sunken cost fallacy and restarting your life with the mission to seek out that which you deserve. Peace, kindness, and loyalty. And for that, I applaud you. You're a badass. And I'll be right over here in this tiny corner of the internet cheering you on. The sunken cost fallacy is the biggest epidemic. And I get it. Because even when I was literally 19 years old, I let that stop me from breaking up with my ex. So I can understand 100%. It's crazy how your brain thinks when you're going through something like this and you're thinking of getting out of a relationship. It's genuinely so crazy, because I would be like, oh my God, we've been dating for a year though. That means I would wasted all of this time. And then I go on to waste, I said, give me 4 years of that. I said, give me 4 more years of that. Hello? You ended up wasting, no, because you could have just wasted 1 year, but instead you wasted 4. You wasted 4 years. You wasted 4 years. I hate the sunken cause fallacy. I cannot stop fucking yawning. It truly pisses me off. It truly does. I'm so sorry. Hopefully I don't keep too many of them in, but it's literally impossible. It's really making me upset though. We're going to move on to the next story though. And the title is, I, 35 male, was caught using AI to write wedding vows, and my partner, 34 female, walked out. What do I do? I, 35 male, recently had a wedding with my partner, 34 female. We've had a stable and happy relationship so far, and I love her more than anything in the world. The problem arose when it came to writing vows. Don't get me wrong, I love many things about my partner, but I couldn't figure out how to put them into tangible vows. I decided to use ChatGPT so I can have something well written and expressive to share at the ceremony. The thing about my partner is that she's very confrontational and no nonsense. If something annoys her, she immediately addresses it with no room for backing out. I also know that she's expressed disdain for AI in the past, but I didn't realize how far the hatred could go. I don't know how, but she immediately recognized that the vows were AI. After I had finished, she had this angry look and whispered to me, quote, "Did you use effing AI to write that?" I was quiet because I couldn't believe she had noticed that, and she was choosing to address it while we were on full display for everyone. She then said that I either speak from the heart or she walks out. I literally couldn't get any words out, and she kept her promise and walked back down the aisle, much to all our friends' and family's confusion. She's been ghosting me these past few days, which is atypical for her and honestly giving me panic attacks. Most people agree that calling off a marriage because of AI vows was an overreaction, and that maybe it was a sign that our relationship would have issues, but a few female friends have said that they would have done the same. I'm hurt and honestly just needed it to help make the day more special. Is it worth fixing? Yeah, what? I think it's worth fixing. I don't think that your relationship should be thrown away because of AI vows. I feel like, I don't know what the context is. Were you writing the vows and you felt like they didn't sound good, so you put it through AI to make it sound better? Or were you just hey, AI, help make me these vows for my wedding? Is that what was happening? What's the context here? Because I can get the nervous feeling. You feel nervous. Also, I don't think it's that uncommon for guys to not really know how to express their feelings or write their feelings in words. I think that's very common to, especially in a letter. Some guys are just not meant to write letters. In the beginning of me and Jack's relationship, I had expressed to him that I love little letters and I would always write letters. And so he knew that, and he would always write me letters too. So I have a lot of letters from him, but the letters, he says way more meaningful things to me than he could ever write in a letter. I don't know what it is about the letters. Like, he's just not good at writing a letter. I mean, I loved them, obviously. I love the little letters. They're so cute. But he will randomly say a lot more meaningful things and, like, is very good at expressing his emotions in that way. I think it's just, like, when it comes to sitting down and forcing himself to write a letter, that's where he gets lost. Sorry, I'm taking a picture of Frankie because he looks so cute right now. Yeah, I want to show you guys. He's literally so cute. He's sitting right by. Can you see? Probably not. Can you see that? He's sitting right on the ground, right by the camera tripod thing. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. And I love him so much. He's just the cutest boy ever. Okay, edit, same post 10 hours later. Okay, I screwed up. I didn't check this post for a while because I wanted more points of view instead of just getting torn to shreds. But I understand why the situation is worse than I thought it was. I've been trying to contact my partner's family to see if I can talk to her again. But apparently she's been staying out of state with her sister. I'm going to tell her when she gets back what I heard here and that I understand. I'm also going to write new vows without AI and bring her favorite flowers and snacks. I still want her to know that I love her and I know her. I will post an update when I can. Thank you all, even if some feedback could have been a tad more nicely put. Wait, okay, so please tell me, you guys, I'm assuming the wedding was like, you literally didn't get married? This is crazy. I understand, okay? I'm not blaming the wife for this. I'm just like, whoa. Someone said, did you write this with AI too, bud? Come on, man. You should have been talking from the heart. OP said, no, I could write this just fine. For the vows, it was different because I wanted them to be perfect, and there was just a lot I wanted to say that I ended up not being able to say anything. And then someone said, I don't know why so many men, sometimes women too, but it's usually men, have this belief in the back of their heads that they have this overruling right with their female partner where they can just ignore or dismiss whatever she wants or prefers as long as he thinks he's got a better idea. Like she's a child and he's the parent who knows better. And now we have you, quote, she told me explicitly multiple times that she hates AI, but I felt like that it wasn't that big of a deal and that I needed it, so I used it anyway for my wedding vows. How can I show her that she's overreacting? You don't, because she's not overreacting. You disrespected her majorly. You're not a victim here. You knew damn well what her reaction would be to you using AI and did it again anyway, because again, you thought you knew better and that she wouldn't find out anyway. Like she's a stupid child and you're her parent replacing her dead goldfish before she gets home from school. She deserves better than to marry a man who thinks of her that way. Honestly? No, because I would obviously be pissed if that happened. I would be like so confused why. I don't think I'd be able to tell though. I feel like I would just be like, wow, you're like writing very sophisticated. I feel like for me, this is so random and like kind of off topic, but I don't really like presenting in front of people. So I feel like at my wedding, even though I'm not really sure like what my ceremony is going to be like in general, it's going to be like a really lax ceremony, I assume. But I feel like me and Jack will probably just like read each other our vows in private beforehand, but like not see each other. You know how some people like do it behind like a wall or whatever, or like around the corner. Like that's what like one of my sisters did for hers, where they like held hands, but they didn't look at each other, and they like read each other their vows and stuff in private so that they didn't have to read them in front of people. I don't know. I feel like obviously everyone's different, but for me, in my opinion, for me personally, I don't think that it's like this for other people, but I just feel like it's kind of a little bit less meaningful to hear them in front of other people. And I feel like I would rather just hear them in the privacy of our own hearts. Okay, this is over 2 months later, November 9th, 2025. I honestly wasn't planning to do an update after all because of how humiliating this entire situation has been. I didn't want to give more of a reason for people to rip me apart, but now that my story is posted on a popular YouTube channel, there probably won't be much of an escape route for me. There's no doubt people we know will find it now, so I wanted to give the short update everyone has been itching to get. Editor's note, according to the comments, it was Smosh that reacted to this post. I did what I said previously and told her about the Reddit post and how the replies gave me her perspective and said that I was sorry. She ended up getting even more angry with me about posting our business, even though our names weren't mentioned, and that she couldn't believe I needed online strangers to tell me why I was wrong. Also, apparently, my mom was texting her about paying back all the wasted wedding money, and she used that against me too, which I don't think is fair. I have no control over what my family does. Snacks and flowers didn't do much. She refuses to give me another chance, even after offering to go to couples counseling. So yeah, the wedding is never happening again. It's over. This has been the most horrendous time in my life. I've thought about giving up altogether. Meanwhile, she's posting about brunch with her friends on social media. Makes me wonder how she could move on that fast while I am a wreck. People have accused me of not caring about her enough to write my own vows, yet the difference in our reactions to splitting up says the reverse. Hope you're all happy. Feel free to rub salt in the wound. I'm not coming back to this account. Okay, well, I'm assuming that she's not probably happy just because she's posting brunch with her friends. She's probably getting support from her friends because she's so upset and she thought that she was also going to be marrying you. But then this happened and she's like, how can I marry an incompetent buffoon? So that made her upset. And then I get the not knowing what you did wrong, and also like the original post that you posted being like, how can I show her that she's overreacting, is just like also pretty mind-blowing, because it's like, if I saw that and I had to see that my soon-to-be husband had to be convinced by internet strangers that he was in the wrong, instead of just realizing he was in the wrong because he made me upset, and also just taking time to self-reflect for 25 minutes and realizing, yeah, maybe I probably shouldn't have done that, especially because like my wife hates AI. Okay, top comments. The difference in your reactions just says that this was the final straw for her, while you were and still are effing clueless. And then someone said, he really doesn't get it, lol. He decided that it wasn't worth his time or effort to write his own vows on his wedding days, so he offloaded this subpar task to an AI assistant and is now mad that his fiancée thinks he's a moron. He can say that he wanted them to be perfect all he wants, but the reality is that he couldn't be bothered to make them perfect on his own. Yet he wrote both the post and the update just fine. T. Okay, someone said, I just keep thinking about how a real, unpolished, authentic bullet point list of things you love about your partner would likely make for charming wedding vows. Also thinking about how an actual coupley thing to do would be to work together as a team to collaborate your vows, so you're matching each other in length, tone, balance of serious/humor, etc. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like if you're thinking that your vows need to be perfect, definitely talk to your partner about that and be like, hey, I'm struggling because like I feel like I don't know how to make my vows sound like this, blah blah. I feel like any like partner that really loves you would just be like, I would just love if you wrote down what you love about me. Like it shouldn't be that hard if you really love someone to write down a list of things that you love about someone, and then it's like, okay, perfect, there are your vows. It doesn't need to be formatted perfectly and written perfectly with all like a punchline at the end of every sentence, you know. It's like an authentic list of things that you love about me, and something from the heart would mean way more than anything that AI could write. All right, we're gonna move on to the next story though. The title is My Male 28 Fiancé Female 28 Randomly Ended Our Relationship. Is this abuse? I'm not sure if this is the right place for this. Please forgive the long post. My 28 male fiancé, 28 female, has always been very controlling. She gets upset when I don't do things exactly right and often contradicts herself. She wants me to go out and be more social, but will call and yell at me when I do. She wants me off my phone, but sits there on hers. She wants me to go to the gym, but complains when I'm there too long. Honestly, I've been pretty love-struck, so I didn't really pick up on these things until everything fell apart. She has a bit of a drinking problem. Not that she drinks constantly, but when she does, she doesn't know her limit. With wedding planning and my busy work schedule to pay for the wedding, she tends to go out on weekends with her girlfriends since I'm home late anyway, and she enjoys it. So she deserves to unwind after a busy week. We typically do lunches and overnight trips when my schedule will allow it, and when I'm off in the evenings, we make dinner together to connect. She's nitpicked before, but I kind of wrote it off as her personality and always adjusted. An example, she didn't want me running the washer or dryer so much, so I went from twice to once a week. I work 2 jobs and one is construction, so my clothes get dirty fast. She thought I had too much clothes, even though we each have the same storage space, so I donated the clothes that she didn't like. She didn't like when I cooked late coming home from my second job, which is event staff, so I would pick something up on the way home. I felt like this was regular couple stuff. All in all, she's been excited about the wedding and our new apartment, so I thought everything was good. Long story short, a few weeks ago she came home hammered, which is nothing new, but she got outright mean. I wrote it off as just being drunk. Sometimes she playfully teases me when she's drinking, but when she sobered up, she was still really mean. Her controlling attitude escalated until she was pretty much unbearable, and she ended up telling me that she deserved better and that she wanted to start over and I needed to leave. She started listing all of these weird faults. I don't get along with her friends who I have never met because they don't live in our country. I don't make an effort with her family. I'm very close to her brother. We game often together and we have dinner with her parents once a month. And then I'm too dependent on her. I do tend to put her first a lot, but I kind of thought that was normal. Then she basically told me to leave. I gave her some space and slept at my brother's for a few nights, asking how he thought I should fix this. And it was then that he pointed out that she's kind of abusive, so maybe that this was a good thing. I don't know. She's still the love of my life and I can't wrap my head around all of this. After a few nights, I went back because I needed more clothes, but also because I wanted to see if we could talk things out. She flat out refused and said all her friends agreed. My issue now is she is downright hostile. She's nice every so often when she wants something, but other than that, she's short, cold, and often annoyed. She basically said we're done and she's keeping the apartment and I need to figure it out. Then radio silence for a month outside of a few drunk I miss you texts while I couch hopped. The last time I went over to grab clothes, she kissed me and basically said she wished things could be different and talked about the proposal and all the little things that we've done together. So I tried to talk it out, but she got super angry and kicked me out again. Now she's telling me I need to pay half the rent because I'm on the lease. I spoke to the landlord about potentially removing me from the lease, but he said she has to agree and she's refusing. She's refusing to agree to sign the lease over to someone else. What can I even do here? My brother pointed out that since I'm on the lease, she can't keep me from staying there, but the apartment is small. Being practically on top of one another, I can't see how it will work with her behavior. She's refusing to be even civil. I asked her to reconsider finding a new tenant, and she basically says she doesn't see why she should have to move just because I couldn't change. My brother said I could make a case for abuse to get off the lease, but I don't want to do that to her. She can be mean, but she's a nice person, and we've been together for 6 years. I just feel like that's a step too far. My mother agrees. I honestly don't think this is abuse. Is this abuse? They're really pushing that I go forward with this, especially after my brother read some texts. But I feel like if I end the tenancy citing abuse, that's dishonest and could further upset her. Well, the fact that you feel like you have to walk on eggshells because every single thing you do makes her freak out on you sounds emotionally abusive to me. Also, she's obviously not a nice person if every single other sentence you're saying that she got super angry with you, she freaked out on you, she's nitpicking little tiny things about you, like eating at the end of your shift when you come home. What? Also, you should 100, if she's not going to take you off the lease, but she's going to make you pay half the rent, that means you can stay there. And I know that that's hard because living with like a significant other or an ex significant other is hard, but it's like at the same time, okay, if you're going to force me to pay rent here and you're refusing to take me off of the lease and get someone else to cover my portion of the rent, then I'm going to live here. And then I assume eventually she's not going to want you to be there. So she's going to be like, okay, fine. And she's going to give in and be like, fine, you can move out and I'll take you off of the lease and then that will solve the problem. The thing that does scare me is, though, every time I think about this, every time I think about like a relationship where one person is very angry and they break up and like the other person just obviously isn't a good person, I always think about how it is scary to live in the same place as that person because you never know what they'll do. Like, it truly makes me so scared, even though you think like they'll never do anything to hurt you, but it's like maybe they will, maybe. So I don't know. I feel like if there's, I don't know if it's possible. I don't know if there's 2 bedrooms or if there's only 1 bedroom, but if there is 2 bedrooms, I do think it would probably be best if you're going to stay there which I think you should, but to change the lock so that you can like lock the bedroom door every time you're home and every time you're not home as well, so that she can't get into your room. But I don't know. She definitely is emotionally abusive, especially if she's constantly saying like she's extremely controlling. Being controlling in and of itself is already abusive as it is. And then constantly telling you like she deserved better and that she wanted to start over and that you needed to leave, and that she's listing all of these faults about you and that she's getting mad about all these things. Like, sounds like she needs anger management therapy immediately. Okay, relevant comments. She seems extremely controlling and seems abusive. I don't know about Ontario, but where I live, if 2 parties are on a lease, they're both responsible. But if one person leaves, the other person is 100% responsible. Look up the laws where you live. You may be able to just leave and not be responsible. Sorry you're going through this. I hope you can heal from this quickly. I don't know what like the laws are or whatever. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you didn't pay rent, she would kind of be forced to pay the rent because it would fall on her, no? Like, I mean, at least I know that that's how it would be. Even though me and my boyfriend are both on the lease here, if I moved out and he was like, no, you need to pay rent, and I was like, no, I don't, you kicked me out, we're broken up, then I would just not pay rent. And I think he wouldn't want it to affect him and his credit, so he would end up just being forced into paying it. I don't know. Maybe it's best not to play with fire, but I do feel like that's probably like what would happen, because I don't think she's going to be like risking getting in trouble for not paying, because it doesn't really say, like, it's not like the landlord is like, oh, well, she paid her half. No, it's just you pay the rent, unless it's different in other countries. I don't know, but I know that for my old apartment too, we had a landlord and I had 3 other roommates, and he didn't care who was paying what. Like, we sent all of our rent in one, and I had to manage that, and everyone would send me their rent, and then from there I would send it to the landlord, because that's just what you do. The landlord doesn't care who pays what. He just cares that he gets the full rent that month, and you got to figure it out. Okay, this is update 1. Things have kind of snowballed out of control. A day or so after I made the post, my brother sat me down and kind of discussed a game plan with me. The first thing he told me to do was take the money I had, put in a joint account meant for our wedding day out, since she had access to that, and she was pretty pissed at me. Not sure why, since she ended things, and I only recently found out it was because she cheated. I had been saving for over a year, sometimes putting in as much as $600 a month, and I also put my Christmas bonus in there. I don't know what I expected to happen after I did that, but things escalated pretty quickly after that. I had screenshots of how out of control the texts got, but it won't let me add them to this post. The long and short of it was she was upset that I all but emptied the account, only leaving what she had contributed. She had only put a couple thousand in because toward the beginning of planning, she decided I should be the one to pay for the bulk of the wedding. Looking back now, I can't believe I agreed. Her argument was that I should have kept all my money in the account to pay for my portion of the rent, and that I had stolen from her. She kept calling me a thief, even when I showed her a screenshot of my banking transfers into the account and that I only transferred out that exact amount. She only got more upset because I refused to talk to her in person or answer the phone so I could have everything we discussed in text. She had her dad call me, basically telling me to do the right thing, which just meant to give her all the money I'd saved since it was for her anyways. When I refused, she started calling my mother almost nonstop. She would start calling her around 9 p.m. and sometimes wouldn't stop until 1 a.m. At first, I told my mom to block her number, but my brother said to just put it on silent so we would have record of how often she was calling. One night, she called my mom 36 times. My mother has been having some health issues since my father passed in June, so my sister has been living with her, and the calls obviously made my sister upset, and it's a whole thing now. My sister ended up filing a harassment report with the police, and we're hoping that will help me get off the lease if we can prove that she's being abusive. She also called both my ex and her father and told them if they had anything to say, it would go through her. I filled out an N-15 form, but the officer I spoke to about the harassment didn't seem convinced it would be approved because he wouldn't classify this as domestic abuse. I guess I just have to cross my fingers and hope for the best. All this definitely showed me who she is. I didn't think I could fall out of love with someone so quickly. Thanks for all the replies to my initial post. Ew, she's disgusting, love. Like, that's genuinely so disgusting. What do you mean he stole from you? What? And she's abusing you and your family. Calling your mom 36 times in one night? What the hell is wrong with her? And she cheated on you? Like, this is so deluded. What's her mind? Like, she's so deluded and embarrassing. Okay, this is nearly 1 month later, November 9th, 2025. This is the final update. I tried to post this a week or so ago, and it didn't go through because how close the posts were, but I knew there were a few people who wanted updates. Fingers crossed this time it works. First and foremost, thanks to everyone who messaged me offering advice and resources. Once I was out, the pattern of abuse became more evident. The emotional roller coaster she always had me on was one I didn't really realize I got on until I finally got off. I went into the apartment with my sister, female 36, while my ex, female 28, was at work to clear out all of my stuff. I was initially going to go with my brother, male 34, but in the calls to my mother between 5 to 20 a night on weekends, she sometimes physically threatened people, and my sister wanted to be there in case she did get physical, since my brother and I wouldn't be able to do much if she did. Obviously, neither of us would hit her or anything, so this made the most sense. The police also didn't seem to want to accompany us. We cleared the bulk of my stuff out, but unfortunately she did come home early because, well, that's been my luck lately. She yelled a bunch, which we ignored, but unfortunately my sister spoke to her before we left because a bunch of my stuff was missing. I didn't care about a lot of it at this point, but my sister was upset that the PS5 was missing, so she told her she didn't know where she put it, but she needed to get it because she wasn't leaving without it. Tensions were obviously high as my sister is currently living with my mom taking care of her, so she's been present for the nonstop calls on the weekends. When my sister kept pressing her about it and ignoring everything else she was saying, my ex picked up a picture frame and threw it at me for bringing her here. At this point, everything boiled over. My sister got between us, and when she slapped my sister, a fight ensued. Long story short, police arrived, and my sister told them she wanted to file another report, which made my ex surrender the PS5 and admit that she had thrown a bunch away. Because of all of this, the landlord was made aware, and I've been taken off the lease. A few days after, her mother called me. She basically wanted me to reconsider the reports filed because she was worried that my ex would have charges that would follow her around, and she didn't think it was fair after I called off the wedding and abandoned her. I told her that she needed to have a conversation with my ex about the lies she was telling and her harassing my mother before I hung up. That's the long and short of it. Hopefully I'm done and there won't be any more updates. Thanks for listening to me and helping me through all of this. I don't know what came from that conversation, but her mother did send mine flowers, so I'm guessing at least some truth came out. Anyway, I'm hoping to put all of this behind me at some point. Now that I'm done with the apartment headache, I'm going to grief counseling with my family and working on starting over. That's insane in the membrane. What do you mean? This woman? She's terrorizing this man while in a relationship. She's terrorizing this man while in a relationship and then cheated on him and then terrorizing him after the relationship and then terrorizing his family and then getting rid of all of his stuff. And what? And you're like, whoa. Also, I just realized that I totally read that title But when I was picking out stories for this episode, obviously this is husband horror themed, and that was not a husband. That was a literal female fiance. But for some reason, I read it as like fiance was a male. But whatever, at least now people, the men that get mad at me for always picking out bad stories about men, can not yell at me because I balanced it out, right? At least I balanced it out. Also, someone commented on my podcast the other day saying, this podcast should be called A Feminist's Take on Reddit Stories, with like the rolling eye emoji. And I was like, wait, I was like, that's kind of good. Like, you thought that was like a diss or something? I don't know. But honestly, that was like a compliment. I was like, so you think I'm a feminist? Because clocked it. I loved that. But also, I was thinking that the podcast should be called Off the Rails. There's probably already a podcast called that, but like, honestly, everyone's always like, she's going off the rails. But like, the people that are here every day and the people that appreciate it are the reason that I am alive and still posting every single day. Because if it weren't for you guys, the ones who really are like OG supporters, the best people ever, and support my rants, my off the rails, my off topic rants, my random little spiels. You're the reason that I come to work every day. You're the reason. You are. So thank you for that. Because I love going off the rails. What can I say? Also, I'm stressed because Willa, so the past couple months, we've been noticing a couple times a week, Willa will have these little attacks, okay? And it seems, so she crouches down and stretches her neck out like she's coughing up a hairball. But nothing comes out. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, just a hairball. But like, it had become a few times a week. So I was like, I don't think that's normal to do that multiple times a week. So I've been looking it up on TikTok and looking up on the internet and all these things. And I found that feline asthma is actually really common. And every video that I had watched of someone's cat, and they said, this is what asthma looks like. My cat has asthma and this is what her attacks look like. I was like, that's literally what Willa does. So I started getting freaked out and I was like, oh, I need to go to the vet. So I took her to the vet on Saturday and I had a video I showed the vet, and he prescribed her some medicine to help the inflammation go down. And then he also prescribed her, it wasn't a prescription. He gave us some like hairball gel. So I've been giving her the medicine and I've been giving her the hairball gel. And this is only the 4th day that she's been taking the medicine, and she hasn't had an attack, but today she had her first attack, but it was only 30 seconds. And then she had another one like later in the day, but it was like 10-15 seconds. So it really wasn't that bad. But I was like looking it up online and it was saying like the medicine isn't going to instantaneously work, and it's only been 4 days. And usually it's like the peak of it working is at like the 7th day. So that made me feel a little better. And also the attacks weren't like aggressive or anything. They were like very mild. So that made me feel a little better as well. But it's just so sad watching her when she has a little attack. So I think after this, because I do think that the medicine is helping, and I think that it's going to help even more as the days go on. And then we're going to have to get her an inhaler. I think that what she has is mild asthma though, because what I've been researching online, I'm in like a little cat asthma support group on Facebook, and I've been going through it, and a lot of the people are like, my cat's been having 5 to 10 asthma attacks a day, this and that. And I'm like, oh, well, that is not Willa. Like, if she was having 5 to 10 of those a day, girl, I'd be in the emergency room, like, help immediately. So that made me feel a little better, because I was like, it's definitely mild what Willa has. And yeah. So if anyone has a cat with asthma, let me know what your experience is with it. I mean, I've read a lot, and I've definitely scared myself to the point of being like, I hope it's not anything other than asthma at this point, because the other options are like heart disease or an enlarged heart, and then like the steroids that the vet put her on. If it isn't asthma, then the steroids, if it isn't asthma and it's something to do with her heart, then the steroids would make her heart worse. So it was like, I was getting stressed. But I was like, I need to trust in the vet and stop acting like a fucking veterinarian, because I did some research on Facebook support groups, and just trust that my vet is doing the right thing. But I also have my best friend from like middle school that I talk about sometimes, my guy best friend. He actually owns an emergency vet hospital, an ER vet hospital, whatever, animal hospital. And so sometimes I talk to him about it, and he was like, no, it'll be fine for short-term use, because obviously steroids aren't good for like long-term use. But yeah, this will just show if it helps, then it means it's reducing her inflammation, which means that she probably does have asthma. And then I will say no more steroids ever again. No more. I don't know if what's in an inhaler is steroids, but I think it's better. The inhaler is better than like oral steroids. So yeah. But anyways, that's my rant for the day. My back is hurting and I have to go film a Patreon episode. So if you ever want to be a part of the Patreon, the link is in the bio, or it's patreon.com/storytimesociety. Okay. Love you guys so much. I hope to hear from you guys in the comments. I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye. Storytime Society is now available on all listening platforms. If you are on any of those listening platforms, I would really appreciate it if you rated me 5 stars. Thanks for all the support. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.